The push came from behind. No face, no warning, just the sudden, violent weight of a stranger's hands and the scream of the 817 Shibuya Express. He opened his eyes to a darkness that reeked of salt and blood. Iron shackles bit his wrists. All around, chained men lay unconscious, their breath ragged.
Where? This isn't the station. I died. I know I died.
They dragged him onto the deck. Before he could speak, the branding iron came down. Flesh sizzled, and the world became fire. They marched him to the marble quarry. The brand still seared, but colder was the knowledge he was property now, a thing to be worked until death.
That overseer dropped a scroll. A legal text could be a weapon.
He stole the scroll. By candlelight, in the foul barracks, he read every word. The Empire's legal code, binding even the Senate itself.
A clause. Habeas ferum. A challenge against wrongful imprisonment. Any citizen can file it, even a slave, through a free proxy. Their own law will be my hammer. I will learn it all, and when I am ready, I will strike.
6 months in the quarry. Each night, by a guttering candle, he memorized every law the Empire had written. His body broke, his mind sharpened.
The habeas clause needs a free citizen to file it. I need a proxy, someone desperate enough to take the risk.
He found her in a back alley near the market. Claudia, a young scribe selling writs for copper coins. Her tunic was threadbare, her ink almost dry.
I have bread rations saved, 3 days' worth. I'll give them to you for a small service.
A slave offering bread? What service could you possibly need that I would risk my freedom for?
I know the law. There is a path to freedom, but it requires a citizen to speak for me. I need you to be that voice.
And if I am caught, they'll brand me as an accomplice. My hands would be broken, if I am lucky.
Not if we do it in the open before witnesses. The law will protect you, if it is forced to. I will make them enforce it.
What do you need me to do?
I will provoke my owner, Senator Marcus, into a public dispute. When he strikes me before witnesses, you will file the habeas challenge in the Senate. The world must see.
The market square was thick with citizens when Tatsuya stepped into the path of Senator Marcus's litter. He planted his feet and refused to move.
Senator Marcus, does your law permit you to command a slave to commit a crime?
You insolent dog. I am your owner. I command and you obey. That is the law.
The Lex Servitudis, Section 3. No master may compel a slave to an unlawful act. You just ordered me to steal from a citizen.
Then I'll have you flogged for insolence. Guards, seize him.
The crowd gasped. Marcus had struck Tatsuya across the face before witnesses, exactly as planned. Claudia pushed through the senator's doors, her hands shaking as she held out the scroll. Every senator turned.
I file a habeas for challenge on behalf of the slave Tatsuya, citing public abuse by Senator Marcus and unlawful enslavement.
The chamber fell silent. A slave challenging his master in the forum of law, unthinkable. But the law was clear. They had to accept. Within the hour, Tatsuya was dragged from his cell, still in chains, and brought to the marble steps of the Senate. The hearing would begin. The Senate chamber fell into a heavy silence as Tatsuya, still in chains, was brought to the center floor. The eyes of every toga-clad senator bore down on him.
Honored senators, I stand here by the Empire's own charter. The founding laws grant every man the right to challenge his bondage. I invoke that right.
This is an outrage. He is my property, a branded slave. He has no right to stand here, let alone speak.
The Lex Civitatis defines a citizen's rights. If I can prove my enslavement was illegal, then I am not property. I am a free man, wrongly held.
A murmur spread through the chamber. Some senators leaned forward, intrigued by the legal argument. Others shifted uncomfortably, feeling the ground beneath them crack.
If we allow a slave to twist our laws, we open the door to every wretch in the Empire. This is not about law. It is about order.
Cassius understands the danger. He'll try to kill this before it spreads. I must force the Senate to see the law, not just their fear.
The debate raged for hours. Senators shouted over each other, some demanding immediate dismissal, others insisting on a full hearing. The chamber became a tempest of voices. Finally, the senior consul raised his hand. A full trial was granted. Tatsuya would have his day. But the Senate's patience was a blade, not a shield, as guards led him back to the holding cell. The weight of what he had started pressed on his chest. The whole empire would be watching. 3 days later, the full trial began. Tatsuya stood in a clean tunic, unchained, a gesture of neutrality. The public gallery overflowed.
The accused calls Senator Marcus. Let him answer under oath how he acquired a branded slave with no record of lawful seizure.
I bought him at auction. The brand was there. That is all the proof required.
The Lex Mercatoria requires a bill of sale for any transfer. Where is yours, Senator? Or did you simply seize a free man on the road?
The gallery stirred. Citizens whispered, faces shifting from curiosity to anger. The senator's word no longer seemed iron.
Objection. This slave twists procedure to humiliate a respected senator. The court should not entertain this mockery.
The Lex Judicialis grants any party the right to examine evidence. Not mockery, Senator Cassius. Simply the law you yourself wrote.
Cassius paled. The consul overruled the objection. Tatsuya turned back to Marcus, the scent of blood in the air.
The crowd is with me now, but pushed too hard. They'll fear chaos, must balance justice with their fragile patience.
The trial ground on. Each hour, Tatsuya chipped at slavery's legitimacy. The verdict drew nearer, but so did the shadow of reprisal.
The founding charter declares that no man shall be born in chains, yet I was branded without trial. If you rule against me, you make the charter a lie.
Silence hung like a blade. The senators withdrew to vote. Outside, the crowd waited, breath held, hours passed. Then the consul returned, scroll in hand. He read the verdict. Tatsuya was a free man by the law of the empire.
One life freed. But this is only the opening argument. The real trial begins now. A moment, honored senators. I file now a second action, a class action emancipation suit on behalf of every slave in the empire.
The chamber erupted. Senators screamed over one another, some calling for guards, others tearing at their togas in fury. Order collapsed.
You will never see the sun for another day. This is treason.
The Lex Populi allows any citizen to petition for collective redress. I am a citizen now. Read the law.
The consul pounded for silence, but the Senate was a storm. Tatsuya's suit was admitted. By law, they could not refuse. The empire had a new crisis. That night, a shadow moved in Cassius's private chamber. A purse of gold and a single name. The former slave who had become a threat.
Kill the freedman. Make it public, a knife in the forum. Let every citizen see what happens to those who challenge us.
Consider it done. He'll be a lesson written in blood.
In a modest room across the city, Tatsuya unrolled a fresh parchment. Claudia dipped her quill, face pale but ready.
It's called a Lex Testamentum. If I die, every document, every case, every law they broke gets sent to every magistrate in the empire.
So if the Senate kills you, they destroy themselves. That's cold, even for them.
Cold is all they understand. The law will speak louder than my voice ever could. Now write, in the event of my violent death, let the truth be unsealed.
For hours, they copied, sealed, and addressed. Every precedent, every signature. By dawn, the last packet was bound for the provinces.
If I survive, they'll call this document unnecessary. If I don't, it will be my ghost.
Across the city, the assassin sharpened his blade. Cassius watched from the shadows, a thin smile twisting his lips. The Senate splintered, but the blades were united. Tatsuya had won the courtroom. The next war would be fought with steel. 2 days later, Tatsuya walked a narrow alley near the forum. The assassin's footsteps were silent, but the glint of a blade caught the corner of his eye.
The Senate sends its regards. Freedman.
Tatsuya threw himself backward, his shoulder grazing the stone wall. There was no room to run, only to fight.
He's heavy, untrained. Use the stool, block and counter.
He swung the stool like a gavel, catching the assassin's wrist. The knife clattered to the cobbles.
Curse you.
Tatsuya kicked the blade away and ran, not toward the forum, but down the twisting back streets he'd memorized as a slave. A commoner woman pulled him into her doorway, pressing a finger to her lips. The assassin's heavy footsteps pounded past and faded.
Thank you. They will try again. I need to disappear.
By nightfall, he was in a safe house, his arm bandaged. The first attempt had failed, but Cassius would send more, and the next time, there would be no narrow alleys, only crowds. 3 days later, Tatsuya risked the crowded forum, hooded and watchful. The Senate's knives could be anywhere.
There you are, freedman. Cassius sends his final greeting.
The assassin lunged, blade flashing. Citizens screamed and scattered, but the crush of bodies blocked every escape. Young Lucius, son of Senator Felix, was laughing with friends. He turned sharply, right into the arc of the thrust. The dagger sank deep into Lucius's chest. His white toga bloomed red. The assassin froze, eyes wide with horror.
Father?
Lucius crumpled to the cobbles. A golden ring glinted on his limp hand. The crowd's shock turned to an ugly, swelling roar. Citizens seized the assassin. He screamed about Senate orders, but his words were lost in the fury. The damage was done.
They killed one of their own. Now the city will turn. The Senate's own blade just slit its throat.
By nightfall, the city was a tinderbox. The public knew. The Senate had tried to murder a freedman and killed a noble's son instead. Dawn broke over a city in flames. Torch-wielding mobs surrounded the estates of senators, screaming for justice.
Blood for blood! The Senate killed our sons! Tear their halls down!
I loved the Senate, but my son is dead because of your corruption. You are unworthy to lead.
The crowd roared its approval. The old order cracked louder. City guards abandoned their posts, unwilling to defend the Senate hundreds of miles away. Magistrate Gallus broke the seal on a heavy packet. Tatsuya's Lex Testamentum had arrived.
Every slave trial, illegal branding, systemic abuse. The Senate knew, they all knew.
He read all night. By morning, he drafted orders to arrest the local senators. The truth could not be unread. The news raced faster than riot fire. Other magistrates received the same packets. The empire's legal pillars turned against the Senate. In the capital, the Senate convened in panic. They had no army, only a crumbling myth of authority. The mob outside grew. And in his safe house, Tatsuya waited not for safety, but for the moment the law would ask him to stand. Tatsuya left the safe house, hood down, walking toward the forum where the mob's roar shook the stones.
The freedman! He lives! Make way for the one they tried to kill.
The crowd parted. He climbed onto a broken statue, the scars on his wrists catching the firelight.
Citizens, burn the Senate and you burn justice. Let the law be your hammer, not fire. If I don't stop them now, we trade one tyranny for another. There must be a new order, not chaos.
The mob wavered, torches lowered. He promised a government by law, and the crowd, desperate for hope, listened. Across the city, provincial magistrates stormed Cassius's villa, warrants in hand.
You cannot arrest a senator. This is madness. I have immunity.
They dragged him through his own marble halls, past the bribes and the conspiracy, out into the street. The first senator fell. In the forum, Tatsuya stood as the city's last hope and its most dangerous gamble. Inside the Senate chamber, the remaining senators gathered among scattered togas and overturned benches. The mob's roar echoed through shattered windows. A trembling consul read the motion: dissolve the Imperial Senate indefinitely, ceding all authority to the magistrates and the people. One by one, the senators raised their hands. The vote was unanimous. The old order, born centuries ago, ended with a murmur. News surged through the forum. The people screamed not in anger, but in disbelief. The Senate was no more. All eyes turned to Tatsuya. A commoner shouted, then 100 voices rose together.
They want a new emperor. I must give them a republic. But first, I have to accept the burden. If you want me to lead, then we will lead with law. No tyrant, no slave. A republic of citizens.
The forum erupted into a single, thunderous cheer. For the first time, The Empire's future was in the hands of a former slave.
The Senate's ghost is gone, but its chains still bind a million souls. The real work starts now.
As the sun set, Tatsuya climbed down. The transition would be fragile, and enemies still watched from the shadows. The next morning, the city's remaining magistrates gathered around Tatsuya in the old Senate Hall. They needed a leader with legal authority.
The people trust only you. Accept the title of Chief Justice, provisionally, until we can write a new constitution.
If I take this, I become a target for ambition, but without it, the mob will crown a warlord. I will serve as interim Chief Justice, but only until a citizen assembly ratifies a permanent constitution. No man rules alone.
He appointed Claudius and a panel of legal scholars to draft a new charter, working day and night in the old magistrates' hall, but shadows moved in the taverns. Whispers from escaped senators. Tatsuya was a usurper, a slave who would crown himself.
We need to drown the lies with transparency. Every draft, every debate, public. Let them see the law built in the light.
That will also show our toil. The people are already tired of secrecy. Your openness might be our best weapon.
They worked through the night, clauses against slavery and tyranny taking shape. A republic was being born in ink. Outside, the city held its breath. The whisperers waited for a mistake. And Cassius, in his cell, was already planning his defense. Before dawn, a shadow crept through the scriptorium. A bribed clerk copied the draft, twisted its clauses, and nailed the altered version to the forum wall. By sunrise, crowds gathered around the forum, murmuring over the forged charter. Words of tyranny and special privilege had been inserted.
Cassius's allies. They leaked a doctored copy to poison the well before the real draft could speak. They think we'll hide, number. Summon everyone to the forum. I'll read the true draft aloud. Every word, every protection.
He walked to the forum in his old slave tunic, the scars on his wrists visible. The murmuring crowd fell silent.
You saw a forgery meant to divide us. Now hear the truth. Slavery is abolished forever. No man shall be judge in his own cause.
He read clause after clause. The crowd listened, spellbound, the lies unraveled with every word.
And the ones who planted the forgery? Here's proof. Cassius's signet was used to bribe the clerk. He is in chains, but his poison lives.
The forum erupted, not in rage, but in unified demand. The saboteur was seized. Cassius's name was cursed. The draft, now trusted, became a shield. Tatsuya climbed down. The draft was public, and the people were its guardians. But the trial of Cassius loomed, and with it, the final test of the law. In a sun-drenched forum, 1,000 hands rose. The new constitution was ratified, its first clause abolishing slavery forever. The next day, the new courthouse opened its doors. Cassius, stripped of senatorial rank, was led in chains to face justice.
Senator, no more. Just Cassius, the conspirator. I will prove he ordered murder to silence the law's voice.
A former slave prosecutes his betters? This court is a farce, built on broken chains and ambition.
But Tatsuya had prepared meticulously. He called freed slaves to testify, brands matching Cassius's ledgers.
And here, your own seal on the assassin's payment. Your words, Cassius, make it public.
I acted to preserve order. Your class action was sedition. Any senator would have done the same.
He's confessing to conspiracy while denying guilt. The jury can see the rot.
The jury deliberated only briefly. The verdict was unanimous, guilty of conspiracy and treason. Cassius stood frozen. The new republic's first trial had proven that even the mighty could fall to law. Now, only the sentence remained. The judge's voice was steady. Cassius would face permanent exile, not execution. The Republic would not trade one blood for another.
Exile? You think banishment will silence me? I will write my memoirs. Everyone will know the truth.
They led him through the forum, past the statue where Tatsuya had stood. The crowd lined the streets, silent, a strange, heavy peace. At the dock, a small ship waited. Cassius paused, looking back at the city he once ruled. His toga was torn, his power dust.
This is not justice. You have merely replaced one master with another, a slave who quotes dead law.
Tatsuya watched from a shadowed archway, apart from the crowd. He felt no joy, only the cold, necessary weight of closure.
He'll live, and his words will live, but so will the law. That's the point. Vengeance would have been simpler.
The ship cast off. No one cheered. The crowd dispersed quietly, as if the city itself was exhaling. Tatsuya turned from the archway and walked back toward the forum, alone. The Republic had been tested and had not broken, but scars had a way of pulling at the skin, reminding him that the work of building was never finished. The forum was transformed. Purple Republican banners replaced Imperial gold. Thousands gathered, breath held to witness the impossible. Tatsuya, in a dark formal robe with a crimson sash, placed his scarred hand on the new constitution. His voice carried clear.
I swear to uphold the law, not as a master's whip, but as a shield for every citizen, freeborn or once in chains. I was branded property. I stood where you stand. The law is not a senator's privilege. It is the people's hammer.
He paused, looking across the sea of faces, slaves freed, nobles humbled, merchants and farmers. In Claudia's eyes, tears glistened. Tatsuya concluded his speech. The old imperial banner, stained by centuries of tyranny, was lowered, and a new purple standard rose.
They cheer for the Republic, but I am still the slave who memorized laws on a dirt floor. That man is Chief Justice now.
The ceremony ended. The people celebrated, but Tatsuya slipped away to the old magistrate's hall, where scrolls still waited.
The real trial is tomorrow's case and the next. A republic is not a monument, it's a daily verdict. We must win it every morning.
Outside, the city rejoiced under the new banner. The Republic was born, but its survival would demand more blood and ink than anyone yet knew. Months later, the new courthouse hummed with common disputes. Tatsuya presided, his crimson sash a familiar sight. Justice had become routine.
Every verdict a brick. The wall grows slow, but it will outlast any tyrant.
After the session, he paused by a polished bronze plate. His reflection showed a Chief Justice, but the brand under his robe still burned. That evening, he walked alone past the city gates, beyond the fields, to the abandoned marble quarry. The dust was the same. The scars on his wrists ached with memory. He could almost hear the clang of hammers the overseers lash.
I learned the law here, while men died beside me. Their blood inks the new charter. I can't forget, I am not the branded slave anymore. But he still lives in me, a witness, demanding justice.
He stood until the first stars appeared, the white stone around him turning rose and then silver. When he finally turned back to the city, his step was lighter. The past was a scar, not an open wound. The quarry held his pain, but he left it there. Ahead, the Republic's lamps burned, and so many verdicts still to write. Back in the city, Tatsuya found Claudia in a quiet courtyard of the magistrate's hall, her stola now edged with the purple of office.
You disappear to the quarry and return looking 10 years younger. What did you find there? Ghosts or peace?
Both. I left the ghost and brought back the peace. It's strange. The quarry was my prison, but now it feels like an old ally.
They spoke of old conspiracies, how a coin of bread had bought a revolution. The air was easy, the fear long distant.
Who would have thought the scribe and the slave would be here, writing history instead of scraping ink?
A courier arrived, dust-covered from the provinces. He handed Tatsuya a sealed letter, then bowed deeply and departed. He read, "In the province of Varanus, the first generation of free-born children now attend the new schools, learning the charter and the principles of the Republic."
Listen to this, Claudia. Children born after the abolition are memorizing the habeas clause. They'll never know the brand.
Later, on the high balcony, Tatsuya looked down at the bustling city. Somewhere, in a far province, children were reciting the law that had saved him. The sunset painted the rooftops gold. Tatsuya folded the letter and tucked it into his sash, close to the scars. The city spread below like a living scroll. Each rooftop, each citizen moving freely, was a clause written in blood.
Tokyo is a distant dream now. This world, with all its dust and marble, is real. It's home.
He looked at his scarred wrists, then back at the city. The two were linked, pain and progress.
These scars aren't a curse. They're proof that the lowest can rise, and that the law must never let them fall.
The stars emerged. Tatsuya turned from the railing and walked back inside, the heavy door of the magistrate's chamber waiting. Inside, a stack of petitions awaited. He lit the oil lamp, its flame steady, and picked up his quill.
The work never ends. That's what makes it worth doing. Each case a life, each ruling a brick.
Outside, the city settled into night. The new banners hung still. The Republic breathed, and in a small chamber, the former branded slave continued to write, not his story, but his people's tomorrow. The hammer of law had struck, and the empire shattered. Now, the building had just begun. Years turned, but the lamp in the magistrate's window never went out. Tatsuya's hair gained silver, his rulings a quiet weight.
The Republic still stands, not because of one man's fire, but because thousands hold the hammer now.
He walked the forum once more, past the statue where he had first spoken. Children now played at its base, reciting laws like nursery rhymes. A young girl held up a tablet with the words habeas verum carved in wax. Tatsuya paused, his eyes brightening.
That word freed me, little one. And now it's yours to carry.
Later, he climbed the balcony stairs alone, the city glittering beneath a violet dusk. The purple banners still flew.
I was a slave, a tool. Now I am a memory, and that is enough.
The wind stirred his robes. He turned and descended, leaving the railing empty under the emerging stars. The law does not belong to the mighty. It lives in every child who learns its name, every freed soul who speaks it. And as long as a single citizen remembers to raise it, the hammer will never fall silent. More years passed, a quiet procession of seasons. The Republic's roots grew deep, its first generation of free citizens now holding office. Tatsuya, now an elder statesman, still attended openings of the courts, a silent witness to the law's daily renewal.
They don't need me to speak anymore. The law speaks for itself. That was always the point.
After the session, he visited the new Hall of Records, a vast library where the original Constitution lay under glass. His own handwriting, the ink faded, but still legible, spoke of abolition and habeas ferum, the words he had once whispered in a candlelit barracks. He rested his fingers on the glass, feeling the cool surface. The scars no longer ached, they simply were, a quiet part of the story. Outside, in the forum, children played. A young boy held a wooden gavel, pretending to preside over a trial of his friends. The gavel was crude, a child's toy, but the laughter it commanded was free, and that was the point of it all. Tatsuya watched from the steps of the hall, a faint smile on his lips. He did not need to be remembered. The law had become the people. The hammer of law had passed from his hand, and in the hands of the people, it would ring for generations.